Wow. And, you know, and a lot of people really, so many questions are floating around. And so because of that, we've invited insurance broker Trevor Bangerter to the studio joining us tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, Trevor, we appreciate you having. And also, not only do you own your own local brokerage firm, you are also the local chapter president for the NABIP, which is essentially a national organization for insurance brokers and advocates for consumers of insurance, which is a lot of us. So I guess, tell us, we kind of talked a little bit about that in that story earlier, but what are some of the big changes that people are seeing this year?
Yeah, so you're seeing potentially some price increases. You're seeing essentially tomorrow, October 15th, is the kickoff of the annual election period. They'll receive a letter from Your Health Idaho, essentially explaining what their tax credit will be if it's not extended, as well as what their premiums will be. That's obviously assuming that it's not going to be extended because it is set to expire in December.
Okay, so that's kind of a worst case scenario
Correct.
situation.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, for a lot of us, this is really confusing. So if you had to tell people the top things they need to do right now, what is your best advice?
The first thing would be, if you don't have a local agent, find a local agent. There's a lot of people getting scam phone calls, different things that add to the confusion. So find a local agent. It doesn't cost you anything to have a local agent, and we can help you navigate all of that. That would be the first thing. The second thing, just be aware of what your costs are in a worst case scenario, and then we can help you navigate all of that. The last thing I would say is there's a ton of confusion between the marketplace insurance and Medicare insurance. I've met with some of the seniors that I have as clients, and they're saying, well, are my premiums going to double? Are my premiums going to be impacted by this? And the answer is no, it's completely separate and individual case.
Okay. Now, with that, though, we do want to at least talk a little bit about Medicare. Not necessarily massive premium increases, but there are some big changes happening in Idaho with Medicare, and some false information going around too about those changes. What's happening with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So essentially you have carriers that are pulling back a little bit in the state. They're doing some resets, different things like that. 90,000 people, approximately 90,000 people received a letter around October 1st, maybe a few days after, that said that their coverage will no longer be available in their region starting January 1st. So they effectively have to make a change to their coverage, or they will go back to original Medicare. So once again, meet with the local brokers, figure out what's going to work well for your situation, and go through that. Some of the misinformation I've heard from a few seniors that have stopped by and visited with me, that unfortunately some of the other agencies are telling them that certain plans are not available in the state. That's due to, there's commission structures that are impacting all of that. But ultimately, the first thing I would ask your broker or your agent is, what carriers do you carry? Which ones are you appointed with? And if they don't have the vast majority of the ones that you've heard about, my recommendation would be to shop around a little bit and maybe check out some other agents and brokers.
Okay, very good. So again, just kind of a final touch up. Marketplace plans could be going up if the tax credits aren't extended. Medicare plans, some changes, but they're not going up.
Yeah, I mean, there's some fluctuation on premiums and different things, but ultimately we can find something that will work for them.
Okay.
Premiums might be a little bit higher than what they're used to, but we'll find the coverage that they need. There still are some very reasonable premium plans out there if that's what's desired and needed.
Okay.
And so even with the government shutdown, you're saying don't wait too long on this.
Yeah, the Medicare side of things, I mean, those plans are already pretty much set in stone of what's available. They submit that stuff very early in the year. It has to be approved by the Centers of Medicare and Medicaid, and so those plans will not be affected by the government shutdown. The converse with the marketplace insurance, it might not hurt to wait a week or two just to see how things kind of shake out with the shutdown and see what's going on. I wouldn't recommend waiting past the middle of November, just because if there are some issues with the application and going through everything, it gives us a few weeks to get those ironed out before the deadline of December 15th.
Thank you so much for helping us out with this information. Something that's so confusing that really does help a lot of people.
Yeah, Trevor, we appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.